believe we're staying at the Psycho Killer B&B.
Oh, that's so cool. It's a motion detector.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney. Did you miss me? Nice little town you found. You and your pretty daughter. Reminds me of where we grew up.
Well, you sure know a lot about me for another asshole hiding behind a voice changer.
Oh, I'm not hiding, Sydney. Not this time.
I want to be a fighter, like you. If you hurt her.
I'm not going to hurt her until you're here to see it.
Let's unmask this fucker.
All your friends died for just being near you.
Where is my daughter? Tatum, listen to me. He's trying to find another way in. We're gonna do this together. You're gonna have to shoot him through the wall. Where? To the right of the door. Shoot him now! Do it now! Oh, you got it. He's dead. You need to make sure you shoot him in the head.
I'm gonna burn it all down.
Mother...
This is gonna be fun.
Welcome back, Midnight viewers. I'm Father Malone, and I'm welcoming you to a special bonus episode of the weekly Roundup. It's Scream 7. The world is ending, so we don't have a lot of time. Let's get into it. The banner headline here is, I retract my complaints about Scream 6. Scream 7 brings back Sidney Campbell, now Mason, as our lead. Gone, just unexplainably gone, are the Carpenter sisters. So now Sidney and her husband Joel McHale, who seems to be auditioning for his own John Wick Every Man Who Can Kick-Ass film series, live quietly far from Woodsboro with their 3 children, 2 of which are conveniently away at Grandma's for the length of the film, leaving us with high school senior Tatum, played by Isabel May. After an opening at the original Stu Macher house from Scream 1, which has been turned into an immersive Airbnb stab experience, complete with voice changer calls from the owner of the house, the sequence is serviceable at best, although I like that one guy, Jimmy Tatro. He was really funny in the lead of that true crime mockumentary, American Vandal. There is a lot of murder and fire, which alerts Sidney that a new killer is on the way. So we get Tatum and her circle of friends, including Ghostbuster McKenna Grace, and we get to know them, and it's Scream, everybody. There's a hungry cub reporter like Scream 2, and shout out to always effortlessly charming Mark Consuelos in that role. The movie needed more of that guy. And then there's eviscerations and throat slicing aplenty. As a quick aside, if you're an old school gorehound like myself, you will have a fucking delightful time for portions of the film. It is easily the most brutal of the bunch. They get away with stuff here that back in the golden age of slasher films, 1978 to 1984. The filmmaker would have been locked up forever. We get the usual taunting of Sidney via electronics. Sometimes it's Roger Jackson's oh-so-familiar voice, and sometimes it's FaceTime. FaceTime with Stu. That's right, I'm not spoiling anything here. Matthew Lillard makes his return to the franchise. Matthew Lillard couldn't save this film. That's how dire it is. So now Sidney, with the aid of her new best friend and next-door neighbor Jennifer, played by the always fucking solid Anna Camp, has to protect her family by doing what she does best, hunting ghost faces. Watch out, Ghostface. Personally, I'd like to see a Scream with Ghostface on the back foot for the entire film, just relentlessly hunted by Sidney Prescott and her growing army of survivors. I mentioned Gail. Can't have a Scream without her, I suppose. Actually, I mentioned Mark Consuelos as the contender for the throne, but he's just one. In what I consider the only real portion of the film that works, Gail's assistant and her cameraman are the Meeks twins, niece and nephew of original Dead Boy Randy. They were the brightest lights in the 2 previous flicks, and they are more than welcome here, in a development that felt natural. Of course they'd join up with Gail Weathers with an eye toward taking her crown. And the rest plays basically as you'd expect. No real surprises, no great sequences you'll be turning over in your head for weeks to come, and no scares. No scares. It's not the cast's fault. They are across the board on point and hitting it hard. Neve Campbell, in particular, delivers a fucking career-topping performance as a woman who actually has been through all of this trauma and is soldiering on and making a family and trying to shield them from everything that's happened to her. She is easily the best part of this film. She's always had an expressive face, but something about the passage of time has made it even more so. You can see everything she's thinking. And in a film overstuffed with dialogue, it is so welcome to have someone get us to the same places emotionally without a word. Now then, all deference to Isabel May, who plays Sydney's daughter Tatum. I'm sure she's fucking sick of hearing it, but facially and in manner, she bears a deep resemblance to Jennifer Lawrence. And not Katniss high school looking Lawrence, Jennifer Lawrence now. Anytime she's next to Neve Campbell, I just assume they're contemporaries, and then she calls Sydney Mom, and I'm like, oh, that's right, that's her daughter. Her nearly 30-year-old high school senior. Now, granted, Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard were both 25 when they made Scream, but they looked and acted impossibly young. Not so with young Tatum. It was a nice touch to have her named after Rose McGowan's garage-doored character from the first film. Wasn't that a great fight? Incredibly simple with the beer bottles and just shockingly effective and economical. Yeah, Wes Craven. He was a hell of a director. The two previous entries in the franchise, the then only Scream films not directed by Wes Craven, were helmed by Matt Bettinelli-Opie and Tyler Gillette, part of the film collective called Radio Silence. They're responsible for a slew of recent, mostly excellent horror movies. VHS, Ready or Not, and 2 segments of a horror anthology that we'll definitely be covering somewhere down the road a piece, that's Southland. Whatever issues I have with Screams 5 and 6, the direction ain't one of them. There are solid scares and crackling pacing in each of them, and they seem to be straining at the traditional set-up, pause, scare routine that this franchise has been mired in since day one. The schedule for this film conflicted with theirs when it came time to shoot Abigail, the vampire ballerina movie, so the directing duties were given to Christopher Landon, who had directed those excellent Happy Death Day flicks. Incidentally, did you know that he's the son of original Teenage Werewolf and Little House on the Prairie patriarch Michael Landon? It's true. Landon dropped out during the writer's strike when the film lost its 2 leads, and a page-1 rewrite of the script was suddenly necessary. So the studio's in trouble, yeah? The thing's gotta work? Bring back Neve Campbell, get Matthew Lillard on the horn, have David Arquette film a cameo, and to bring the whole thing home we need a damn fine director, or at least one with a name. They got a name. And he's legendary with Scream. There isn't a franchise without him. And he can, at times, be a fantastic writer. But Kevin Williamson, I'm sad to say, shows off all the same chops we got back with Teaching Mrs. Tingle. Boy, there's a guy who took a look around at life when he was a teenager and just said, I shall remain here for the rest of my life. There is one bravura sequence in the film, Sydney and Tatum being chased through their home by a ghost face. I'm calling him a ghost face from now on, like fake Shemps in the Sam Raimi movies. There's a safe room and hidden passages, and it's got genuine tension, so I'll give him that. And it's not like it looks cheap or scent-bound, but the pace of the film is so fucking wobbly. Not just the mostly inept action scenes, which hilariously are all either overcut or undercut almost in the opposite manner of which you need them to be at that moment, but it's the pacing overall. It starts as a virtual remake of the first film as far as scenes and situations and even geography, but then it drifts out into new, I'm using air quotes, territory, where it feels halting and odd. It's an hour 45, and it easily, mercifully, should have been a tight 90, 95 for some character development. Speaking of things cut, let's dive a little bit into why this is no longer a trilogy about the Carpenter sisters. The film functions without them, or it could have if it were a better movie, but what gives? Well, dig it. During the aforementioned writer's strike, Melissa Barrera, the 21st century's Sydney, the one who constantly has visions of psycho dad Billy Loomis, Sam Carpenter, spoke up on her personal social media that the situation in Gaza was fucked up. And she was branded anti-Semitic and fired. Then Jenna Ortega, younger sister Tara Carpenter, cried scheduling conflict with her series Wednesday, and then her reps cried pay dispute, and then Miss Ortega said, nah, fuck that. They fired my sister, so fuck them. And I'm inclined to agree. These are the same producers who, after the $140 million take on a budget of $25 for that Scream 5 flick, decided Neve Campbell wasn't worth paying what she was owed. When they came to her, hat in hand, after losing their 2 leads for this film, I hoped she took them to the fucking cleaners, because whatever she was paid, it wasn't enough. I think that's as broad as I can be about the film without spoiling. So let me say this. I wouldn't waste your money. Not in this economy, baby. I really couldn't afford it, and I really regret it. So if you want your surprises, terrible, disappointing surprises, unrevealed, then this is where we part, dear listener. Tune in tomorrow for Hammer House of Horrors, and the following week will be the next Star Trek Fest. I think we're finally getting Romulans. Oh, wait, I don't feel so good. Spoilers ahead, everybody, right? It's not Stu. It's a deepfake AI Stu. Yeah, so he ends up being a bit like Mr. House in Fallout, appearing on screens and saying something menacing. And here's the thing. When I said Matthew Lillard couldn't save the movie, first of all, they don't let him by confining him to a phone. And second, Lillard himself seems to be doing a bad imitation of the original Stu character. As it turns out, that was Lillard killing it because it isn't Stu. It's two fucking dum-dums pretending to be Stu and puppeteering his avatar. This is, bar none, by the way, the stupidest set of killers in the entire franchise. They're people who were inspired by Sidney personally. They read her book and used it as an inspiration for their own lives. So inspired was next-door neighbor Jennifer that she murdered her way out of an abusive relationship. And then, when Sidney didn't appear in Scream 6, Jennifer thought that was a huge betrayal because Sidney is supposed to kill bad guys. And then she lost her mind. It gets better. She then checked herself into a highly secure psychiatric hospital where she met a former Google employee whose specialty was AI, who'd been laid off and is now part of the staff there. And together, they formed a plan to punish Sidney for not stepping up, with the ultimate goal in killing her, forcing her daughter to become the new final girl. Have I mentioned how much I hate the term final girl? When I heard it for the first time, I thought, oh, someone's biting on Nathan Rabin's style here, him having coined the term manic pixie dream girl that spread like a virus. Now, in that case, the term is perfect. It is a long-standing and boring trope we've been enduring for decades, and there are no manic pixie dream boys in popular entertainment. Final girl, like Ash in Evil Dead, like Tommy Jarvis in 2 of the Friday the 13th flicks. Remember Jesse Walsh in Elm Street 2? All final girls. Since nomenclature is given so much weight nowadays, let's not be lazy. So yeah, yet again, a missed opportunity to make this series into something more than its parts by giving us a real core villain. I mentioned in the previous episode that I have thought for some time that nobody should be behind that mask at this point. It ought to be just a malevolent spirit that rises due to circumstance. Barring that, just pick someone and to make them the villain. The fucking ultimate shame of Scream 7 is that they had the fucking keys to the kingdom with Stu Macher's return. How about this for an ending if you want more movies? Let him get away. You think the ending of Halloween was so chilling because Loomis filled Michael Myers full of lead, sending him tumbling out a window? No, it's because he got up and walked away. And there's already precedent here. We believed Stu died at the end of the first film. Along those lines, I need every filmmaker interested in whodunits to please listen to me. If you have a character show up, and they're not important, but we linger a little too long on their face, we know they're the killer. At least I do. There are actually 3 ghost faces in this flick: Ghostface Karen, Ghostface Google, and Ghostface psychiatric patient who they've been using to carry out the first murders. A man who buys a coffee from Sidney at one point and just stares and stares. I wonder if he's involved. They even squander the whole AI thing. At one point, the killers cycle through various ghost faces from the past, so we get Ghostface Stu, Ghostface Jackie from Roseanne, Ghostface Unremarkable White Dude from Part 3, and then Dewey. Squandered, I say. Why not taunt Sidney throughout with any and all of these people? Putting aside the fact that deepfakes right now blow, and they're nearly always transparent on how deeply fake they seem. Try live streaming where it's converting your image into decades-dead serial killers from whom you have no footage or vocal reference. Sounds good to me. Okay, I'm getting as scattered as the film here, so I will try and wrap it up. I'm just going to let you go about your day. I genuinely wanted to like Scream 7. I thought there was nowhere to go but up from Part 6, and as always, I was utterly disappointed. It is definitely worth a watch, thanks to Neve Campbell and the Meeks twins. They should just jump in Gail's van and go off and Scooby-Doo it. They could pick up Stu along the way. How's that for worlds colliding? They could hunt down ghost faces wherever they're popping up. Hey gang, I got a lead in an entire nest of ghost faces in Aberdeen, Washington. Say, isn't that where Kurt Cobain is from? You don't suppose.